as I said when I asked him earlier, which he blew past, he never even attempted a response. I specifically said to him, we don't know the pedigree of who Matthew was of the Gospel of Matthew. And I can undercut this whole thing to point out that, guess what? The church fathers are the one that put the Bible together. The canon of scripture that you have comes from the oral tradition that he referred to of the church fathers, together with the liturgical practice of the lectionaries in the early apostolic sees. There's no way to actually know that Paul wrote Paul's epistles, the Paul the apostle, or that Matthew the disciple wrote the Gospel of Matthew, apart from the patristic church father tradition. Even Protestant scholars like F.F. Bruce or Lee MacDonald all admit that you have to have this oral tradition that comes from the church fathers and the apostolic succession in the important bishoprics and sees. And so I ask him again, how do you know that you have the right canon of scripture, given that the church fathers put the Bible together?
Thank you. One thing we finding out, it don't matter if we know or don't know who put the Bible together. What we do know is that, and this is a dumbass. That's a dumbass right there. But what we do know,
it don't matter,
is that the church fathers don't understand the Bible. That we do know. In Daniel 7:9, it says, "I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit."
No answer.
Whose garment was white as snow. Then it says in verse 13, the Son of Man is coming to the Ancient of Days. So when they say that Jesus is God or Jesus is the Most High, if the Ancient of Days is the Most High and the Son of Man is being presented, there is no verse that calls Christ the Ancient of Days.
So that means
there's a time, again, dumb nigga talking.
Moderator,
Look
moderator. I asked him a question.
Look at the question.
I got you, Jay.
He did not
asking me questions when I asked him.
I'm not asking him no question.
You just asked me the Trinity question, you idiot.
Real quick, fellas. I got you, Jay.
Dumbest nigga ever.
Jay, I got you. Jay, just let him, because it's still being timed. Once we get to the time, Jay, go ahead and do your thing. Because
hold on, but I thought it was a question back and forth.
He could not handle the time.
Three times in a row, it was question. So Cap, real quick. He did ask a question. You did not answer the question, so he was looking for the answer to the question within the 1 minute time. But it's fine. What we can do is, Cap, I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to you so you can finish responding. And then after that, let's open it up, because I do think that the audience wants to hear the back and forth and wants to hear both of you ask one another questions and actually answer the questions. So, Cap, you actually had only 10 seconds left, but I'll give you an extra 30 seconds. Do your thing, bro.
No, I appreciate it, man. That time. So if the Ancient of Days is there before the Son of Man, then that means the Ancient of Days existed outside of the Son of Man, so Jesus can't be that God. If in Revelations, the 5th chapter, we see that same Most High sitting on the throne, and then the Lamb, who's from the tribe of Judah, being presented before that throne, he can't be that God. In Revelations, the 3rd chapter, and the 12th verse, this is what Christ said, and I landed right here. I might go a little bit past the time. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God. This Jesus talking. And he shall go no more out. And I will write upon the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which come down out of heaven from my God. In that one verse, Christ said he had a God 4 times. So he cannot be that God if he has that God.
All right, got it. Time. And Cap, I gave you an extra 20 minutes there, but totally cool, man. Jay, I said 20 seconds. I mean, Jay, floor is yours. I know you wanted to ask him some questions and get some answers to the questions that you asked. So go ahead.
Yeah, right. Well, it would have been a good idea maybe to look into the Orthodox doctrine of the Trinity if you wanted to come to debate that, because you would know that we teach monarchical Trinitarianism, which is the teaching that the Father is the one true God, the source, fount, and arche. However, the word God, I know you have a really hard time with grammar and words. They seem to really trip you up. But the word God is a general term, just like the word nation is a general term. It can be proper or it can be non-proper. I know that's really hard for you. But in the same way, the word God can pick out the person of the Father. It can pick out the divine nature that the Son and the Spirit share. And it can pick out divine operations and energies. So that's monarchical Trinitarianism. And all of your questions don't even deal with that, because we believe that Daniel 9, Daniel 7, all of these passages teach monarchical Trinitarianism. Now, again, I asked you multiple times, how do you know that you have the right Bible, given that you said the church fathers are garbage?
Can you repeat the question, please?
You said the church fathers are all dumb and garbage, but the church fathers have the oral tradition that lets us know the authors of the Gospels, the authors of the epistles, and they put the Bible together centuries after the time of Christ and the apostles.
And you want to know why do I call them dumb? Is that the question?
No. Do you want me to ask the question for the fourth time? How do you know you have the right biblical canon?
Oh, thank you. Because the church, actually, I know I have the right biblical canon because the church fathers don't know it, and I do. That's how I know. Because when I look at what the church fathers are saying, when the church fathers are saying that there's a Trinity in the Bible, but when I read the Bible, I don't see Trinity, I know that the church fathers don't know what they're saying. And I know that the Lord will put his spirit, just like he put his spirit on Judas to do his job. He put his spirit on Saul to do his job. So having people maintain the records does not mean that you understand it. In the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter, it says he revealed nothing except to his prophets. So having the Bible in our hand, you know what they created? They created a white image of Jesus, even though the image that they have of Jesus does not matter. So just because they have the records and they portray and they give us something does not mean that it matches biblically. That's why Paul said, let God be true and every man a liar. So the Orthodox Church are dumb and they're liars because nothing they teach can be substantiated in the Bible. Jesus, this Trinity, there's not even a verse that says Trinity, not even a verse that hints at Trinity in the Bible. But that's what the church fathers believe.
Okay. I have a question. Is there a verse that says what the Bible is?
Yeah, the Bible is I'll use the verse Romans 15.
No, what is in the Bible? Where's the verse that tells you Bible?
I don't know if there's a verse that tells you Bible. Okay. What I would say.
So now a double standard.
I would use probably Torah because it means law or instructions. And like Paul said in Romans 15:4, whatsoever was written aforetime was written for our learning, that through patience and comfort of the scriptures we might have hope. But that understanding, even Christ said, I'm glad that he kept this from the wise and prudent and gave it unto babes. Why did that matter? Okay. Because even the Pharisees during Christ's time didn't understand it. Even Peter, when Peter was speaking and they saw the boldness of Peter, they knew that he rolled with Christ. And what did they call them? Wait, what did they call them?
Next question.
They called them unlearned men.
Filibustering.
But even though they were called, that's not unlearned, that's in the Bible. Even though they were called unlearned men,
you are just filibustering. You are yapping.
They had Christ with them. They had the power to heal. They had the power to take life.
It's not a sermon. It's not sermon time.
Even though they were called,
this is not an answer to the question.
So the church fathers are dumb, and you're dumb.
We know you think that, but
you're dumb. That's why you didn't answer.
Fine, I'm dumb, right? Which is funny because that's why you can't answer a dumb person's question. How dumb does that make you?
I answered the question. You said how did they keep the record, and I asked it. I answered it.
I have a question.
Don't get mad you didn't like the answer.
Can you restate what my argument was about the canon?
Your argument was, how can the Orthodox be dumb when they the ones that retained and restored the canon, gave identity to like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, because they didn't have an author. So how do I know that the canon that I read is?
And what is your answer? Canon? Right. What's your answer?
And my answer was, them teaching what they teach, and then me reading the Bible lets me know that the Bible is true. That was my answer. And then you chuckled at it because you said, "How could that be?" I'm asking
how you know you have the right Bible.
Because y'all don't teach it right. I just answered that, and then you laughed, like you laughing now, and then I went into.
You don't understand the again. You don't understand. So how do you know that you don't have the wrong Bible?
And the first thing I said was,
how do you know that you don't have the right Bible?
No, I know that I have the right Bible.
How?
Because here's maybe you'll understand this.
How?
When you go, I'm about to tell you. So when you go into the Hebrew or Greek that it was originally written,
you don't know those languages.
Then compare
you don't know those languages.
Can you speak Hebrew?
I didn't claim to. You did.
Wait, speak Hebrew.
I don't claim to.
So why did you say I don't know the language if your dumb ass?
Because
See,
you don't know
basic.
Because you don't know English grammar.
I would have been impressed if
you don't know English
Greek.
grammar.
I would have been impressed
because
if
you don't know
Greek
English
or
grammar.
Hebrew. Even I can say Shema Yasha'Allah Yahweh Allah Hayana Yahweh.
That's not speaking Hebrew. That's a memorized phrase.
I just gave the credo. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one.
Hebrew.
Even I can speak. I just backfired on your dumbass. That's how you know you're a dumbass nigga. That's
this is
how
a
you
con
know.
man.
Because you can't even speak the language that you're telling me I can't speak. So when I say I go into the language and then you respond by saying
you don't know the
language, you can't even speak it.
You're a con man.
You ask me a question of something you can't even do yourself.
Why do I have to be? I didn't claim to be able to.
As I was answering your question.
You don't speak these languages because you don't know basic English grammar.
Listen, so as I was saying, when
are you saying that you do speak English and Greek?
When you
speak English and Greek
in the original language that it was written in,
do you know those languages?
The language.
Do you know them? I don't believe you do.
Look at the English. You can compare and say, okay,
I don't believe you know those languages.
This is
I don't
what
believe
you go to that word.
Okay, fellas, let's let one another land their plane.
Wait, I just spoke Hebrew.
You literally think that proves that you speak Hebrew by reciting a memorized phrase.
If I can speak it, then that means that I had to go somewhere to learn it.
Oh my God, dude.
That I had to go somewhere to
This
read
is the dumbest person I've ever talked to.
I can't believe this dumbass nigga saying this shit right here, man.
You are not a student. You don't know those languages.
Hey, Cooley, how long before we switch, man? Because he can't
you
speak
just got exposed as a fraud. You don't actually know those languages.
He can't speak Hebrew or Greek.
You know how I know? I didn't claim to. You claimed to.
But you said I didn't claim to either.
Yes, you did.
No, I did not. I said when you go. No, I did not. I said when you go to the language. What I said was when you
don't know the language.
I said when you go to
the language that it was originally written, you don't know it,
and you compare the Hebrew.
But how are you going to compare? You don't know it.
That's how you compare it.
You don't know the languages. You're a fraud.
How you learn it? Excuse me. How you compare it is you would have to learn it.
You don't know this.
So they have Hebrew. Anybody can get. And they got Hebrew for dummies.
No,
There's ways that you can learn. There's ways that you can learn the language.
You ain't done it, dog.
I did,
though. But you ain't done
it, dog. Can you show what you learned in Hebrew and Greek? Can you show it?
I didn't claim to know Hebrew and Greek. You did.
I never claimed it. I said if you go look it up. I don't know
you did.
Spanish like that. I don't know Spanish like that.
You contradict yourself
somebody give me
from
something
1 minute
Spanish,
to the next.
I'm going to go compare it to the English and back and forth and make a comparative
That doesn't mean that you know the language. You said you did a minute ago.
So right now, if I have Amos in front of me.
You are the lowest IQ person I've ever debated. This is the dumbest person I've ever debated.
All right, fellas. I let that rock.